Good afternoon and welcome to MSV Movie Mania. I'm your host, Alex.
I'm your host, Ricky.
Here at MSV Movie Mania, we take both critically acclaimed, not so critically acclaimed, blockbusters and box office flops, films new and old, and make it our job to either praise the films you love or show you that they might not be as good as you thought after all.
True.
This week, Ricky and I are going to be discussing Birdman or the Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance and Ricky's favorite movie, Pixels.
I don't like you. Birdman was directed by Alejandro González Iñárritu. It won 4 Oscars for Best Picture of the Year, Best Directing, Best Writing, Original Screenplay, and Best Cinematography. It also won 2 Golden Globe Awards, including Best Actor for Michael Keaton, among many other awards. The film grossed approximately $42 million worldwide. In Birdman, Regan Thompson, played by Michael Keaton, a Hollywood dropout, struggles with the stress of directing his first Broadway play. Thompson's mind slowly caves in under the pressure he faces trying to recover his past fame, while also struggling to remain true to traditional Broadway. Birdman stars Michael Keaton, Emma Stone, Edward Norton, and Zach Galifianakis. Alex, what do you think of Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance?
I thought it was great. It had a nice nostalgic feel for Hollywood to it. It really separated itself and really pointed out that it was separate from the blockbuster action films that we get every couple weeks now.
Yeah, spent half the time kind of the screenplay just saying this is not a blockbuster movie. But
it had a very pre-Iron Man Hollywood feel to it.
Right. Yeah, I really loved this movie. It was great. The screenplay was really good. It introduced some really compelling, deep characters, gave the actors plenty to do, but also had a lot of subtle things to say about filmmaking in general. It was trying to say that this is art, what they're doing, and when you see Iron Man and stuff like that on the big screen, this is not my opinion. I personally love those movies, but Alejandro González Iñárritu, he apparently feels that those blockbuster movies are not art; they're just money, capitalizing on our, we want action. And I think he made this film really just to point out how, to tell a compelling story with compelling characters, but also to point out how this is real art is not in blockbuster.
I like that they pointed out that he kind of gave the effect that everyone who's watching all these action films is desensitized to all the violence and action going on, that they start to mistake it for actual plot.
True.
Like you could take Avengers 2 and take out all the action sequences, or take out all the plot, and people will still try and get the idea.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoy blockbuster movies. They're fun. They're fun. They're not meant to be, like Oscar-winning Best Picture. But I mean, Birdman did have a lot of things to say about, everything about Oscar. But how all the big stars are always doing these blockbuster movies for money. How I think Edward Norton calls at one point cultural genocide. And I mean, again, stuff I don't agree with, but I thought the screenplay was really great. From the rapid-fire dialogue, it more than deserved the Best Screenplay award. I think one of the things this film is known for is having a very distinct filming technique. Now, for those of you who don't know, the style of Birdman is done a lot like a play in that the camera follows our characters around for several scenes, and that's all one long take. The film's about 2 hours long, and it takes usually about 10 minutes each. So this film is essentially about a dozen 10-minute takes. What do you think about that, Alex?
It's definitely a unique style that we haven't really seen in Hollywood at all. And the fact that they were able to stay composed for 10, 15-minute scenes at once or all around the set just amazed me.
It did, yeah. And the thing is, a lot of these scenes were very emotional for the characters, at least. Several scenes involved, characters, acting their hearts out. And so, can you imagine what it would be like to be doing that, yet also to be then having the next 10 minutes later someone mess up a line, have to start all over?
I think the hardest scene they probably had to film was Michael Keaton sprinting through Times Square in his underwear.
Yes, yeah, that was a weird scene.
It was, but imagine having to try to get all those people out of your way.
Yeah.
And if they mess up, the whole scene's ruined.
Yeah, because it starts long before that, too. It starts with him in the dressing room, getting his close up.
Like, if a random pedestrian, looked at the camera or something, Michael Keaton would have to go all the way back to the door, smoke for 2 minutes, and then run. Just to get that shot.
What was your favorite scene in the movie?
My favorite scene, I think, is when Michael Keaton first meets Edward Norton, whose character's name I'm completely blanking on right now.
Mike Shiner, I believe.
Yeah, when they first meet and they go over that one scene, and
I love that scene.
It gets more and more intense. They start screaming at each other, and then he's just like, "All right, you're the guy for this play."
Yeah, that was a great scene. It was because he's dating the woman who's in the play, so he already knows the lines, and he's kind of I think it's kind of based on Edward Norton in real life, because apparently he always gives his directors a hard time with like the dialogue and stuff. So I think, and like he's telling Michael Keaton, this is how you should do your play. Like you have 4 lines that mean the same thing. Cut those out. And but yeah, I thought a lot of it felt improvised, but it obviously wasn't, because the people in the next shot are waiting for these guys to do their things.
I mean, it had 2 feels to it, where it was their characters versus each other, and Michael Keaton and Edward Norton versus each other as actors.
Yeah.
And they both kind of came out really great.
It did, yeah. My favorite scene was when, I think anytime Michael Keaton just was going crazy, which is pretty much the
entire second half of the film.
Yeah. Well, so my favorite scenes in that sense are when he's trashing the office, he's phenomenal in that scene, and when he's yelling at the film critic in the bar.
So, you clearly love the film, enjoyed me, or I enjoyed it, rather. Ratings, what would you give it?
10 out of 10.
Of course you would. Okay.
It's only the 4th film in a row I've given this.
10 out of 10. Why not?
What about you, Alex?
I would probably do a 8 out of 10.
All right, that equals to a 9 out of 10.
All right, that's Birdman. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Pixels, directed by and starring Adam Sandler, it received no awards of any category, but was nominated for Choice Summer Movie Star, being Adam Sandler. The film was met by mediocre reviews and is considered Adam Sandler's better movie of the past few years. Ricky, I thought it had a great plot. What do you think?
What was the plot? Just All right, so I think they send a time capsule up in space with video games, and so the aliens just randomly become video game.
No, the aliens picked up the time capsule at some point, and they took all the video games with all the violence as a message of war. So the aliens come to Earth, and they decide, we're going to defeat the humans in a video game style competition for Earth.
Where do the aliens get TVs again? Play the video games? But
they're aliens. They can go from planet to planet. They have that technology, Ricky.
Yeah, and if you're going to reintroduce this 80s nostalgia, at least do it in a subtle way. It's not like, in the movie, it's really just, hey, you like Donkey Kong? Here's Donkey Kong, we have it.
You miss Q*bert? Here he is.
Yeah, there's no subtlety to it. It's just...
Well, that's the thing. It was a kids' movie.
It wasn't a kids' movie. Well, I mean, it was marketed for kids.
It was marketed for kids, but it was about stuff that kids have no idea ever existed.
And raunchy, and it had too much raunchy humor for kids.
You had to entertain the parents somehow.
Yeah, I think there was bit of language in there, but.
So what do you think of the story?
I thought it was awful.
I loved it.
The story? No, the story.
Yeah. You got Kevin James as the president of the United States fighting aliens.
I hated that.
Alongside Peter Dinklage, Adam Sandler.
Peter Dinklage, who obviously plays Tyrion Lannister on Game of Thrones, is so wasted in this. I thought he was going to be the one good thing in the movie, but no, they don't give him anything to do.
You know what the one good thing in the movie was?
Josh Gad?
Adam Sandler.
No, he was the worst part. No, Josh Gad was the one good thing in the movie. That's improvisational humor. Do you mind if I just take a minute to talk about the few points I didn't like?
Go ahead, Brant, be my guest.
Okay.
Because
all right. From the beginning, one of the recurring things in Adam Sandler's movies is he's very, very lazy. The screenplay, everything about it. And stuff barely makes sense. Like, the film opens up, he goes to the girl's house, military woman's house to fix the TV, and she's getting divorced or something. She's crying in the closet, so Adam Sandler's like, hey, I'm about to leave. She's crying, and like they have a little talk. He's like, all right, lady, listen, I'm coming in. And like, what?
He's being a nice guy because she
He's
had
the
to sign the
repairman.
paper or write the bill or something. I don't know.
All right, maybe, but I was so. Josh Gad, they spent actually there's some funny improvisation with him, and they were very much implying that he was secretly gay. He did a good job of it. That was funny. But at the end, he just falls in love with a woman, a video game woman. But still, it's like Adam Sandler was like, all right, later we find out you're very much heterosexual, but still, you can just do this anyway. I don't care. It's whatever's funny. Whoever gets you your paycheck at the end of the day. Other parts I didn't like.
Oh, there's more.
Okay. The overall story, and I'm not making this up, is that in the beginning, Adam Sandler loses a video game competition, and I swear this is the plot. He spends the next 40 years in a slump because he loses that one video game competition when he was 10. And the mild spoilers, but at the end he's facing Donkey Kong, which of course is what he lost as a kid. He's like, no, I can't do this. I lost when I was a kid. I'm going to lose now. But then the kid, who later found out that the guy who beat him was cheating, is like, no, Adam Sandler, he was cheating. You really did win. That is what gave Adam Sandler the confidence to, pick up the hammer and save the day. Not that any mature adult would be like, you know what? The video games don't matter. What matters is who I am, what's inside. But no, it's just Adam Sandler. So of course we got to have, no, I really was the winner when I was 10. All right. And as long as I'm going on parts I absolutely hated.
Yo, keep
one
going.
last
We got
part,
time.
as I mentioned, Peter Dinklage was the one who beat him all those years ago. And later they need to recruit him because that's how the plot goes. And of course, it's later in the film we find out, or at least the little boy finds out, the love interest's child, that Peter Dinklage had actually cheated all those years ago. So when they're fighting Pac-Man in New York City with the ghost cars, Peter Dinklage uses a cheat code to get like 5 streets ahead. And let me reiterate on that, because he used the same cheat code he used when he was a kid for the video game. I don't care what game this is, cheat codes for video games do not work on real-life physical cars. All right, that's about this my rant and how lazy these scripts are. Alex?
So clearly your favorite part of the movie is the action sequence with Pac-Man.
I hate that scene.
You kidding me? That was great.
All right. There were parts I like. Most of Josh Gad's improvisation was actually pretty funny. I remember you pointing out I was trying to hide a smile in the theater.
We were in such a bad mood when we saw it.
Yeah, I liked the hammer when he finds the courage to beat Donkey Kong. I don't like what the scene stands for, as I said.
It's the finale, Ricky.
But I like because they play "We Will Rock You," which is a song I haven't heard in forever, and they make it, and it's like kind of suspenseful. He's like going up there, his friends are fighting on the ground, and it becomes a more like action version of "We Will Rock You," like with epical beats under it, and I like that. That was fun, I'll admit. One thing I did like, I'm not going to give a context for this scene because it's not appropriate for our show, but let me just say the Martha Stewart cameo at the end.
That's your favorite part?
That redeemed the movie. You remember I was laughing pretty hard at that.
I guess since we're going to favorite parts, mine was when at the end, Josh Gad loses the girl because she's still alien technology and he thought he had her.
But she fell in love with him for no reason.
She did. And then Kubert's like, oh, I feel bad about it, so I'm going to turn into the girl now. And he starts making out with Josh Gad, and all of a sudden Adam Sandler's like, no one's freaked out that was Kubert like 5 seconds ago.
That was funny. That was like right directly before my scene, but yeah, that was funny. Yeah. And then I don't think we should say this, but the scene after with 1 year later.
We're not going to talk about that.
We're not going to talk about that. No. But that was, I'll admit that was funny. Yeah. In the film, Peter Dinklage was a bit underused. And if you watch Game of Thrones, he's so much better. But he's just like kind of like the obnoxious bully in this one. And it's really just, he wasn't the light of the films I thought it would be. Josh Gad was. And
I mean, you have to admit, it's one of Adam Sandler's better movies of the past decade.
That's not saying much at all. Maybe better than Jack and Jill, which admittedly I didn't see, but obviously it's an Adam Sandler movie, so I bet you want to see it.
I feel like you have a really deep hatred for Adam Sandler a little bit.
I don't like what he stands for. He's
comedy.
Very immature comedy. He's a 50-year-old man who still thinks that fart jokes and people falling over are the funniest thing on God's green earth. Although I will say this.
Those are hilarious.
I will say this. I'm a big fan of Billy Madison. That was 20 years ago. People got tired of the child boy routine since then, but I love Billy Madison to this day.
Okay, so in the end, Adam Sandler saves the world. Sorry, Ricky. You can thank Adam Sandler for you still being alive after the alien invasion. What would you give this movie?
All right, you know what? I want to just... this film, irritated me a lot. I was bored through a lot of it. Angry you guys made me spend $13 or whatever it was. I felt ripped off through most of it, and bored and embarrassed through a lot of it. But I'll admit, it did have funny moments, and one very, very funny moment at the end. Plus, you've actually been a little merciful with the ratings of the films I like lately. The Furious 7 Adventures films.
Wait, are you given a rating that isn't a 10 out of 10? Is it the day? Is it finally happening?
Yes, it is, Alex. I'm going to regret for years to come giving a rating this high, but I'll give Pixels 5 out of 10.
All right, 5 out of 10. I can deal with that.
I already regret it, but...
You know what? Just to spite you, I think it was a fantastic movie. I loved it. It was $13 well spent. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Must see.
Which equals to 7.5 out of 10. Which
means it's a pretty good movie.
Means good.
Right? Pretty good?
That means good. I say mediocre. He says outstanding. So
all right.
It's whatever.
7.5 out of 10. I'd recommend seeing it.
Please stop giving Adam Sandler money. It encourages him. Please don't encourage him. I want him to stop.
All right, that is Pixels. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Welcome back. We're going to now do a trailer segment in which we are going to go into the new Star Wars movie, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Alex, we just watched a trailer, the final trailer a few days ago. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the final trailer for Star Wars?
I watched it over and over and over again. I loved it. I nerded out and turned into a 5-year-old watching the first trilogy again for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, the trailer blew me away. Yeah. I absolutely, it was the most epic movie trailer I've ever seen. Maybe the best movie trailer ever. It was amazingly good. was so epic. You want to talk about the plot of the new film?
I mean, I've been reading up on the articles and some stuff. People are theorizing a bunch of things. Basically, it's going to come down to Luke Skywalker's isolated himself because he doesn't feel that the Force is a good thing in the galaxy.
Really?
And it was pretty much him and Darth Vader and the Emperor were the only people left who had a connection to the Force.
Leia.
Yeah, but Leia never learned how to use it.
Or maybe he taught her.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Who knows?
We don't know. Is this like official stuff or is this like theories?
It's just theories right now. So basically, I'm guessing Luke's gonna end up meeting up with
New good guys.
with the new guy Finn.
Is that the main guy's name?
Yes, and
Okay.
he's gonna.
Who's the girl? The
Girl played by Daisy Ridley is Rey, I believe.
Okay, there are new Star Wars heroes.
They are the new people.
You know what I liked about the trailer? The first 30 seconds, they introduced our new protagonists.
Mm-hmm.
I think I care about them more in those 30 seconds than I did about any character from the prequel trilogy at all. I think I don't know, they just seem, they're starting to grow on me already. We see Rey, as you said, she's on Tatooine, kind of like Luke in the first film.
Wrong. She was on Jakku. It's the new planet.
What?
There's the new planet they're introducing, Jakku. It's a desert planet. That was not Tatooine.
What? There's a new desert planet?
There is a new desert planet. If you read up on any of the articles I told you about,
I don't, because I
the
prefer...
new planet is Jakku. That's where the story starts off.
What happened to Tatooine?
Why go back to Tatooine?
This is like the main planet in Star Wars. Everyone came from...
Well, now they're going to Jakku. It just happens to be where the movie starts
All right, well,
off from.
that's what your theories say.
No, that's what the stuff actually says. The theory, I already went over.
All right, well, similar to Luke Skywalker, she starts off a desert planet. You see her... I kind of like this. You see, the trailer opens with her scavenging a crashed Death Star for parts.
Star Destroyer. Not a Death Star, Ricky.
Oh, right.
Get your Star Wars right.
Star Destroyer for parts. She comes up empty. You see her walking away with a little droid. There's a shot I like, and right before the company titles, it's her fixing an engine while watching as a spaceship goes off into space. And I don't know, from there the look on her face really tells a lot about the character. And who's the new male protagonist?
The new protagonist is Finn. Oh my god, I can't remember who is playing him.
He's an unknown actor.
Yeah.
John Boyega?
John Boyega, thank you.
Yeah, this is like one of his first movies, if maybe his first. I believe from what we got in the trailers, what we know is there's a new army of stormtroopers for some reason. Yeah. Finn, that's his name?
Finn. He
is
an Imperial.
He's a stormtrooper that defects. You see him looking at all the horror going around, stuff exploding, like, what have I done, this mistake? So we see in the trailer I guess he tries to get away in a TIE fighter and they shoot him. So he crashes on Tatooine or whatever the new place.
Jakku.
Whatever. And so it appears he meets up with Rey from there. And I also kind of like him from what little we've seen of him. And there's a third protagonist played by Oscar Isaac. Because in every Star Wars trilogy we get 3 protagonists, 2 men and a woman. You know, Han, Luke, and Leia, and Anakin, Obi-Wan, Padme. Now we got Finn, Rey, and Oscar Isaac. And
so basically, you got Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher coming back to reprise their roles.
Yeah.
And new people coming in.
Yes. We've got a new villain this time who, what little we know of him is that he's the leader of this new Stormtrooper army, and he idolizes Darth Vader because you see him standing over Darth Vader's, burnt helmet, and he says, like, I'm going to finish where he started. Obviously, he gets made to know the tale of Vader's redemption, but what do you think about the new villain?
Kylo Ren seems pretty interesting.
That's his name?
Kylo Ren.
Okay.
How do you not know any of this, Ricky? Come on.
They don't say anything in the trailers. How am I supposed to know? Obviously, we saw in the trailer, we're going to get the return of Harrison Ford as Han Solo, and of course Chewbacca. And it appears that, again, like Luke in Episode 4, these characters don't know much about the light and dark, like about the Force and the
Yeah,
Jedi.
the Jedi and the Force have basically become a myth at this point, based
Again.
on what the trailer said.
Yeah, so there's a scene Han Solo.
Because Finn and Rey are basically the generation that came, 20, 30 years after the Jedi fell, so they have no knowledge of them.
Yeah, I think well, it's been 30 years since the Empire fell and Vader died. It's been 50 years, I think, since Revenge of the Sith and the Jedi fell.
Yeah.
So yeah, they I guess Luke didn't do what he needed to do to make this story known because he's isolated. So Harrison Ford has to tell them, it's all true, Jedi and the Sith. John Williams' music in there that's what blew me away. Just after 10 years hearing epic Star Wars music, new epic Star Wars music again, it brought, I wouldn't say brought me to tears, I didn't make it cry, but it blew me away on every level. The trailer was absolutely phenomenal.
All right, so you're excited, obviously.
Absolutely. I've been a Star Wars fan since I think I was like 8 when I got into it. I've been a diehard ever since.
And did you buy tickets yet?
No, Alex, I didn't buy tickets.
Ooh.
'Cause I'm not gonna.
Oh well, I did.
Yeah,
Opening night.
Good luck with that Stampede, the opening night.
It'll be worth it.
Sing in the aisles.
It'll be well worth it.
Yeah, have fun, Alex.
I will. So anyway, Star Wars Episode 7: The Force Awakens comes out on December 18th, 2015.
I think it's going to blow away the box office. Fandango crashed because of the pre-tickets. I think it's going to make at least $2 billion.
The website crashed. I got the app. I was able to get tickets.
Good for you.
Anyway, hopefully there's still tickets available. Get them if you can. And I think that's about all we have time for today.
Yep. Next week on our show, we will be in preparation for the new James Bond movie Spectre, which I'm also looking forward to. We're going to be doing the first James Bond movie, Dr. No, which was released in 1962, and the latest James Bond movie, Skyfall, released 50 years later in 2012. Alex, have you seen these films?
I have not seen the first one.
Neither have I.
I've seen pretty much every Bond film except the first
Really,
one.
all 20?
Not all of them, but I've seen a lot of them.
All right. I've only seen the new ones with Daniel Craig, but I haven't seen Dr. No yet. I'm looking forward to seeing what Sean Connery was like in the role.
All right.
I love Skyfall, one of my favorite action movies ever. I can't wait to see it again.
Every movie is your favorite action movie. Yeah, all right,
Yeah,
so
pretty much.
next week, James Bond.
I think that's all we have time for this week in MSV Movie Mania. From all of us here, I'm Ricky Costa.
I'm Alex Plumacher. Till then, see you next time.
Wait. Actually, before we go, I do have one last thing to say. Do you, I found out someone new is going to be Star Wars Episode 7. Did you hear about this? Just announced it this morning.
How do you know someone in the movie that I don't?
I just read it this morning, right before I got here.
Who?
Oh, you're going to like this. In Star Wars Episode 7, we are finally going to get to see
John Cena!